Let's find out what it takes to go from homeless to $1 billion.
They valued the company at over $5.1 billion.
This is Paul DeJoria, the founder of billion-dollar hair care company John Paul Mitchell Systems and billion-dollar tequila brand Patron. He went from being homeless, living out of his car,
I learned how to live off of $2.50 a day.
to building two of the biggest global business empires in totally separate industries.
I think a lot of people are curious, like, okay, you get it billions of dollars, what do you do with it?
Well, the first thing that I did was I wrote a check for $50 million that went directly to.
You were actually homeless during this time, and you did it twice. So what happened? How did you get homeless?
I needed $500,000 to start a hair care company. My partner and I made a deal. You take 30%, I'll take 30%. We have control. That's 60% of the company. And we'll give the 40% to anyone that'll give us and invest, $500,000 with us, $500,000. And we had somebody set up, a fellow named Dick Holthouse from a corporation called Citicorp. He was overworking in Europe. He was a friend of mine. He had an investor out of the island of Jersey. So he got to invest the money. My relationship at the time was not going well at all. So I left whatever money I had, because I had a pretty good job. I quit everything I was doing. Right before I started this company, I was a consultant to companies. If you wanted to enter the beauty industry, that's what I was doing. But I quit everything. Everything I had, I just quit. Because $500,000 is coming. So anyways, I left the newer car. I took the older car and left the house and a bunch of money for my wife and my daughter. So it'd be fine for a few months, right? Went down the hill to get the money. Never arrived. Dick Holthouse got a hold of him, who got a hold of me and said, JP, call Dick, collect. Pick up the phone, call him, collect. And I did. And he said, worst news, the guy changed his mind. And I said, why did he change his mind? This is the last minute. He goes, well, inflation in the United States, 12.5%, unemployment, 10.5%, interest rate, 17%, and your hostages are still in Iran and haven't been released. He said, I'm sorry, just changed his mind. So we had zero. And I just had a few bucks in my pocket, a few $100, and that was it. My mom lived in LA, but I was too proud to say, Mom, I'm broke. Can I have my bed back? My room is still available. Feed me. I was too proud. So I just went over to her house and said, Mom, can I borrow about $300 from you? And she says, why? You make good money. I said, Mom, I'm starting a new business. I'll give it back to you in a month. Okay, here you go. And I just stayed in my car. I was just too proud to tell my mom that everything went wrong. I learned how to live off of $2.50 a day. 99 cents went to the Freeway Cafe for what they call the trucker special. If you went there after 9 o'clock, where nobody went after 9 o'clock, it was right by the freeway. And before 11 o'clock, the lunch crowd, for 99 cents, it was called the Freeway Cafe. You got one egg, your choice of one piece of bacon or one sausage. I took the sausage, it was bigger, one piece of toast, and then your choice of orange juice or coffee. And that was my breakfast. And then I found a way to be able to eat off of a dinner for like $1, $1.25. And what I did was somebody called El Torito started something called Happy Hour. Virtually no business from 4 to 5:30 in the afternoon. Well, you get about 2 or 3 bowls of salsa and 20 chicken wings, and you are just full as can be. And my kid, who a friend of mine was helping me watch, would come down with me, and eat at the same time. And it went really well. But after 3 or 4 days, they kind of caught on. And the waitress came over and said, you guys are down and out, aren't you? We said, yeah. And I told her the story. Pretty soon an enchilada would arrive along with our margarita. But I remembered them. And when we started making some money several years later, I was able to afford it. I came back and I tipped everyone in that restaurant the biggest tips they've ever had in their life for helping me out when I needed a helping hand. When you're really down and out, the next thing you should think about is not why you're down and out and how bad things are, because that's yesterday's newspaper. If you do that, you're stuck in the past. You can't change yesterday's newspaper. So what I just did was I just thought ahead of what's the next thing to do tomorrow? What's the next thing after this? Who do I call next? How do I make another sale? That was all in my mind. And I would say the same thing to anyone that's down and out or homeless. You can't change yesterday's newspaper. And what slows most people down is they're stuck in the past. Something happened to them. They got fired. They got a divorce. All of a sudden they're stuck in the past. It's on their mind before they go to sleep. Now your thinking power is behind you. You can't change it. You got to think ahead. What is next? And forgive everyone that's done you wrong. Forget every jealousy that's ever in your mind. For every regret that I wish I would have done that differently. When it comes in your mind, just forgive it. Forgive yourself. Forgive Joe Blow. Forgive everybody to your mind. You don't have to tell them personally if you don't want to. Just forgive them. You're a jerk. That was the past. I'm not going to carry you around anymore. And if it comes to your mind again, just say, nope, that's my past life. Get out of here. Let's move on.
How did you go from 0 to 1 million?
Knocking on doors. And then after 6 months, I was hired to hire. We had just enough to hire a secretary really cheap, Shirley Wong. She was wonderful, didn't mind helping us out. And she did 10 jobs. My first field guy was a year and a half later. So we just kept on building the business and reinvesting everything. Everything we had, we reinvested. And it's a perfect thing that I'd like to contribute to everybody. Number one, understand that we made a hell of a good product. We made the best product we possibly can. So your product or service has got to be the best. That's number one, okay? You don't want to be in the selling business. You want to be in the reorder business. Most people put something together, they package, can I sell it, can I sell it? Mine was all about, I want them to reorder it. So the product has got to be so good, and the person that's using it, the hairdresser, has got to really know it's good. We have over 100 schools, Paul Mitchell schools. So you train the new hairdresser how to be a great hairdresser and be successful. Well, of course, we're doing it with Paul Mitchell products and our knowledge. And we also went into education. Besides the education of how to use our products, we went nationwide. At one time, we had, I think, 850 what we call associates that worked for us part-time, top hairdressers that we taught to be stylists. You don't believe what people tell you. You believe yourself. If someone tells you something that's real, there's no reason not to believe them. But if they tell you something negative, question it. What do you feel in your own heart? What do you feel can be done? And just go for it. Look at how many times Sylvester Stallone pitched Rocky and nobody wanted it. He didn't give up. He kept on going and going. And look at some of these guys in the internet industry, how they just pushed and pushed and pushed, didn't give up, and all of a sudden they made it. So a good portion is, no matter what the rejection is, keep your eye on the target. Ignore the trivia many and just pay attention to the vital few.
Are curious, okay, you get billions of dollars, what do you do with it?
Well, the first thing that I did was, very first thing, I wrote a check for $50 million that went directly to start the Peace, Love, and Happiness Foundation to help change Austin as well as the rest of the world. That's the first check I wrote, gave back. Part of it was my destiny was to give back along the way and find new experiences and help others along the way. Things were so good for me, why not help others? So I'm very generous in that area. And I see today many young people don't have that passion to work. I've been working since, well, part-time at 7 years old, more full-time, part-time job from 11 till today. I sold newspapers in the morning or delivered them for the LA Examiner and then would go to school. And then when I was old enough to get a job after school, I had a job after school. I've been working since, but I'd like to work. And in those days, you got a job because it was cool to have a job. Yeah, I gave the money to my mom, and so did my brother, because we wanted to have a little better way of life. But the fact we had a job made us so happy. We care less we made money. We had a job. People have to understand rich or successful isn't did you become a millionaire? Did you become a billionaire? Is that success? No. Success means how far have you gone in whatever you're doing. I was a janitor one time in high school, a very successful janitor. Steward at Steward's Cleaner gave me a 25-cent an hour raise. When I was making $1.25, I was now making $1.50. For me in high school, I was one of the highest paid kids in the high school I went to, because there weren't any jobs for kids then, and I was in high school. So success is how well do you do what you do, especially when nobody is looking. Do you wake up an extra half hour early because you find yourself working through midnight? Do you go to bed watching TV for the last 2 hours to get your mind off of things, which is going to stop you from going to sleep? That TV's got to be off an hour before you go to sleep. Or would you read a book about success and go over what you could do the next day a little bit better than what you did before? Or how to knock on 2 more doors? Will you do it? Yeah. End of the day, no sales. What am I going to do? Knock on 2 more doors. Keep on going. That's success. Successful people do all the things unsuccessful people don't want to do.